Why in the world are they trying to make AI slop mainstream now? Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're talking about something a little different, but it would be bad if I didn't talk about it. So basically, if you haven't seen the headlines and everything, recently Meta, Facebook, Instagram, whatever you want to call them, came out with a new platform where they are going to be it's going to be an entire app using their AI, etc., to basically create a new social platform just using AI generated content, specifically like videos and images and stuff like that. And they're calling it Vibes, which now makes me not want to use the word vibes as much as I usually do, as that is my usual, instead of like okay, I usually go with vibes, because then they know I'm actually okay with it and slightly positive for it, versus just saying okay, which at least to me seems like more of a blanket statement. But anyway, Vibes was rolled out, or it's going to be rolled out. They did a giant press release September 25th, and I'm curious where it's going to go. I'm not sure if it's fully out yet. Here, actually, I'm gonna look that up. Is it out yet? But while I talk about it, pretty much it is just kind of a place. It's supposed to be a whole social media platform, pretty much, where, well, you have the whole Meta AI, and then Vibes is going to be their social media part of Meta AI, where you can share videos, images, etc., created through Meta AI, which inherently I don't see as the worst thing in the world. Like, specifically when ChatGPT, I believe is what it was, came out with their AI image video software, they had a thing kind of similar where you could view other people's generated content for yourself, which I inherently don't see as terrible. At least it's keeping all of it in one place. But I can see platforms such as this becoming in just a widespread issue for spreading AI content to other platforms. It must be part of Meta AI, is it? Yeah, it looks like it. But basically, I have the press release pulled up here. You can basically post directly to your Vibes feed, DM to friends, or cross-post to Instagram, Facebook, Reels, and stuff like that. And you can also promote a lot of remixing and stuff like that, which a lot of these platforms are heavily spread with AI content. And I guess this is a way that if you're creating it through here, you have the way of making it like labeled, which is inherently fine as long as it's labeled that it is AI. I don't really have an extreme issue with it. But when you get to where it could be going into things such as TikTok, YouTube, etc., where there isn't a sharing ability using this labeling and stuff like that of AI, you have the whole issue of just widespread abuse I could see, especially when you think of like YouTube Shorts is heavily spread with AI content. And I think YouTube's doing its best to try to regulate it, but with so many bad actors on there and not really a huge strong enforcement of using the AI label, you have a kind of cycle falling into itself. And so I'm worried with stuff like this. It's going to make it, I guess, in a sense, easier for abuse on other platforms. So I don't think it's exactly Meta's fault, except like that, to regulate that. But I'm curious how that's going to work per se, and how that goes. But a lot of people reporting on this are reporting it as its own social media platform. So it's like basically an Instagram for AI. And that isn't exactly what this even is. It's almost, I don't know how you'd say it. It's like, it's, like I said, it's basically like what ChatGPT and other, well, not ChatGPT itself, what OpenAI has done for their video and photo sharing or photo creating platforms. It is taking that and basically doing the same thing for Meta. But it's easier to more share with like family, etc., or to post on other platforms that they regulate, which is fine as long as they make it to where you can't, like, it has to have that branding on it and you can't like take it off in any way. I think that'd be fun. Or fine, I should say. But I'm very curious what this is going to look like for the future of AI with the ease that this has. Because there's really funny, because I watch Moist Critical's video on this, which is what made me want to research this further. And one of his main points was, it's all gonna be bots, it's all gonna be bots. I don't exactly think that. I think if anything, there'll be a lot less bots on this. Because it's just like a feed of general AI things. I could see if you are still like following all of your same people, I could see realistically a lot of brands getting in on this, especially for the first rush of it. I can see then the potential for a lot of influencers then getting in on it as like a trend and stuff like that. But I think for long term, I don't see them posting to this feed very often. I see this as more of like a kind of what like iFunny became towards, it's like right after like became like, I wouldn't say unpopular, but as soon as it kind of got like off mainstream and stuff like that, where it's kind of more just like other like defunct social platforms that just people just don't use anymore, and stuff like that, just because I just don't see people wanting to utilize this and or scrolling through this regularly. I don't know, like I see this almost potentially like an early Snapchat where there wasn't really a ton of influencers on there and it'd just be kind of friends. And I could see this easily shutting down in 2 to 3 years. Just because people won't be using it to scroll or anything. I just don't see it as a viable option to, one, generate money unless they're putting ads in there. Which then, if you have that, I'm assuming all the ads, if you're having an entire platform, or I guess feed, that is AI generated content, and you have ads in that, would that also mean the ads would be required to be AI generated? Or if not, I think most people would assume then the ads are AI generated in some way, shape, or form. Which, legally, all of this is a gray area, because if you think of AI generated content, there's this big question, especially in the US, but kind of, I don't think it's been decided in any country who owns AI generated content, because the data it was built from isn't exactly the platforms in many cases, or at least we don't know truly, but a lot of it's been just scraped from the internet. And then you have the output. It's probably not the user that generated it. That really wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. So it kind of boils down to who owns it and how that works, and generating ads from that and not owning the copyright of the AI generated content. I'm not gonna lie, this is all a big gray area of what this is going to hit, and I'm so curious what comes of this. And eventually I might end up making a video, just my experience of it, maybe here in a few months after it kind of maybe picks up steam and or dies. Let's be honest here, it probably isn't picking up that much steam anyway. So I'm curious exactly how this goes. It also comments, it's a very short press release, but it says, we're working on even more powerful creation tools and models with a number of talented visual artists, creators, and we'll be rolling out these more widely in the future. Which, Okay, as long as you're paying them appropriately and they're signing contracts, I don't care. But I'm curious how big they're going into this. Will be very interesting to see for sure. Because I know Meta is trying to stay in the game when it comes to AI and stuff like that. And I think it has a pretty strong foothold, especially when it comes to user data. But I think it lacks in a lot of different streams, especially like revenue streams. Keep in mind, Facebook and Instagram make a lot of money, especially through advertisers. But at the same time, you have the issue of what data they're receiving, I guess, and generated from that. Like, especially, Meta had a, I don't know what you'd call it, kind of like a big convention, talk, showcase, whatever you want to call it, of all of their upcoming things. And it was kind of a dumpster fire. If you want me to react to some of that, let me know. I was so chaotic and everything. I've seen like mild clips. And I think a lot of the issue of that is the data they have going into it. And so I'm curious with this development and stuff like that, how those bridges will combine. I think they're really good at retention and really good at keeping people on their platforms, which is what's making them money. But at the same time, when you're trying to make all of these AI tools, which could be fine, the data you're building on it is user data, not, this is going to sound bad, not factual data, not historic data. Like, you're just building on these user profiles versus actually, like, building AI. And so I'm curious how that's all going to flesh together, because Meta is coming from this whole AI angle so differently than a lot of the other AI quote-unquote giants. So I'm curious how that's gonna work. But anyway, rant aside, I am curious how this platform is going to work and everything. I think it could be something interesting, though I'm more kind of curious on what it's gonna look like here in a few months. So let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.